Welcome back to the 10-Minute Product Podcast. Today is the follow-on episode from the theme we covered in a previous episode, which was about when you join a wonky company, what do you do? In the first episode, we discussed how you get involved to understand what's wrong, what's sparking the wonkiness. We discussed the 3 Ps, people, product, process, as a way of kind of mentally anchoring your observations and in your note-taking. We recommended you to get involved, take rich notes, but also share those notes with your stakeholder group so they join you on your discovery journey. Hugely important as well. Today's episode is around discussing how do you go about resolving the wonkiness. So we assume you're at a point now in your journey where you understand what's causing the wonkiness. And today we want to kind of give you some pointers around how you approach that in your leadership position.
The first thing to mention is that if you approach it constructively and you approach it in a collaborative environment, as a collaborative effort for people, it goes down much better, because a lot of people are afraid when you come in, because when you come in, it means there's already been either you're the new boss and people are a bit nervous, or you come in as an advisor and you're helping fix a company. People are nervous about their jobs and things changing. So basically, in general, it is a change for people. The attitude of collaboration is much better for everybody, for, apart from mental health or whatever, but also for the lasting effect of the changes you're going to make and for the depth of change. And so I think where to start, my first approach, first step is always categorize everything that you found. So you've been taking notes, you've been interviewing people, you've been looking at documentation, you've been trying the product, you've been talking to customers. Categorize things. Are they small things? Such as, for example, something small, but that is very powerful, is every feature that you want to launch should have a success criteria. What does good look like for that if it goes live? If you don't have it, how do you know if it worked or not? That's easier to make the change with the teams. You'll have to spend some time with them to train them on how to calculate these things, but it's actually an easier change to sort of make happen. And then there's harder changes. If you look at the other extreme, to say, well, the 3 products that the company has are not adapted to the market anymore. Should you, maintain a product or kill it? Or should you merge 2 products? And those are big things, because it's strategic mergers of business lines, technical mergers of different product platforms. It's a restructuring of the team behind it, because the squads will have to realign, the team will have to reorganize itself. So first step for me is categorizing the change and what effects would the different fixes that you have in mind have on the organization, basically. That's my first thing. And the second step is, how do you go about getting all those accepted and align the teams? Because if you want to change a product and change team structures, guess what? Not everybody's going to like it. So how do you go about it? So I think these are my first 2. What's your first step? How do you approach the beginning of the process?
First of all, I'm mindful that not to spark a revolution or announce a revolution, and by doing so become like this revolutionary hero, let's call it, where everything kind of is tied to your person with your view of the world. And I think that highlights your point around being transparent, right?
Yes.
And so demystify the changes that needs to happen. So don't spark a revolution that paralyzes everyone, because what's expected of me in this new world. Start small, ideally with one team. It also kind of checks the 3 Ps that on the people side, you ensure that in that team or in team setup, that the right skills are there, the right leadership experience around product, obviously that they have a clear view around the outcome they're chasing, and thirdly that they have the right process and tools in place to kind of be successful in that regard, and then you use that as the kind of case team where you deliver something ideally to the customer. That kind of proves a point that either you shorten the time to market, you see feature fit from day one after a launch of a feature, and you see the people during the delivery of it all kind of thriving and working in a focused, high-performing way, and that makes it much easier to achieve buy-in from the wider organization.
And so I love that. So the example I gave earlier about, easier changes that are, for example, set KPIs for success criteria in certain features. Example I did with a company was to actually, they had nothing, right? No KPIs, no success metrics, no nothing. And they sort of said, well, we launched it because users wanted it. And so they weren't wrong. That was what was said in interviews. That was what, but then I said, okay, but are people using it? If they say they want it, do they actually want it? Are they going to click on it? Is it going to be something they would pay extra for? How do you know the contribution of the value? And so we did with one team set KPIs. So we said, okay, here's the next feature. It launches in 3 weeks. So let's think right now, what would success look like? How does it translate? Yeah, we're going to make up numbers. But the fact that we thought about these numbers means that later, if we're double above these numbers, we thought we have underestimated the potential. If we're at half the numbers, we said, okay, there's something wrong, either with the business model or with the implementation, because it could be that I had once a sign up button that didn't actually let you go to the sign up. And so we thought, wow, it's such a bad feature. We have 0 conversion, but actually the button just didn't work, right? So once we investigated, so
Then
we fixed it after the first 24 hours. We're like, oh wow, 0 conversions. It's so bad. So basically I did it with one squad. And so we did this. We created a dashboard. So the engineering team created a small, simple dashboard for that KPI ahead of time. So we saw our test team using it. We had individual conversions and click-throughs and all these things. And then we could, once it launched, we saw the curves go up, and we could do the math percentage of people who using it, of the, people who logged in that day, how many, or people who went into the use case, how many finished with the thing we wanted. So it was super interesting for the team. But then we did the extra thing. We went the extra mile, because we said after 2 or 3 weeks, we wrapped up a sort of analysis of the first 2-3 weeks. And we put it onto 3 slides and showed the whole company. We said, here's what we did ahead of time. Here's how we estimated the numbers, which are made up, but here's how we estimated them. Here's how we engineered the thing in, putting just that one KPI. And then here's how we started analyzing. When we saw the numbers, here are the actions we did out of this. And he gave such a vivid picture to everybody. And they said, this makes so much sense. And now you're in control of your launch, in control of the response, and in control of the reaction you have to the response, whether you investigate or put more marketing behind, or etc., right? Or next feature.
And I love that. I love that example, Christian, because I think as well, what you say there is an important point around being mindful that this needs to scale beyond the current squad doing it,
Yes.
right? So they need to write the playbook, or you need to stand outside the squad and write the playbook to make it scalable, right? And crystallize what is it they're doing differently, right? Exactly.
There's the other example I would say is things that you have to deal with ahead of time, which are harder. If you want to, for example, change 2 team structures, you need to run it through first a little bit quietly through leadership and say, here's what I propose. Here are the reasons why. Here are the things that the impact this will have. And here's how I propose over time to do the change. This is a bit more sensitive. You cannot just tell the whole team, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to slap your 2 teams together. We're going to have only one tech lead, and we'll make you play darts to see who it is. And so you can't do that, right? So you have to do a proper process in that case. Get buy-in from the top, go one level down, get buy-in at that point, etc. So I think for me, these 2 examples are the 2 extremes, so to speak.
And as such also proves the point. I think what I would recommend as well is that as you at the point where you set up this kind of test setup as your working prototype for the change you want to implement, you need also to consider what are the hard choices you need to make, right? Unfortunately, as well, part of this exercise, in my experience, also requires to either upgrade the leadership team, upgrading into the skill level or the experience level that you require, which obviously as well could lead to some hard choices. The same on team level. So you need to be explicit around what the consequences of this could be to make sure you make those decisions and implement them in the right cadence. You don't want to spark a revolution. You don't want to upgrade both leadership teams, introduce a new process, make changes to the product, say at the same go. Again, it will lead to a chaotic environment and not drive the results that you want to do. So you need to be very mindful around in which cadence, in which sequence are you doing the change, and how do you kind of keep that change
Yeah.
Make sure that lands well before you move on to the next. So have a clear vision in mind where you're going, but do things gradually, depending on your context, of course. But
Yeah,
generally speaking.
I would actually. That's a really nice way of putting it. I would synthesize this as summarize this a bit as product management is your trade, but when you go into new teams or when you go into new companies or you want to advise a company on how to improve or however, it becomes also a change management exercise. And so, what's interesting at that point is that even though you're in product, you're actually in leadership, and you should go outside of the product world and figure out methods, read up on methods from change management, read up on methods of how to change processes, how to introduce new things, how to take away things from teams, and how can you manage through these changes without upsetting the organization so much that you get tissue rejection of what you're trying to do. Because then, not only did you not fix the problem, but you also left a mess because everybody's upset or angry or confused. And so you need to really go outside of the pure product production process, but into how can I get these changes done to improve what people are doing and to help them, but in a way that they accept it and that they can deal with it without you throwing everything out the window in one go and then having a path of destruction behind you, right?
Exactly. And I think in your role as well as product leader, you are exposed to headwinds, right? Any change in an organization across the 3 Ps will make you stand in a position where you have headwinds along the way. But our strong recommendation is to stand strong, be mindful of changes. That if you learn along the way, you apply the changes.
Yeah.
But also trust yourself, because there will be moments where things don't go as expected, but you have to then kind of stick to your vision as well and keep
and
repeating that.
and moments where everybody tries to tell you that you're wrong and you find yourself thinking, is it me?
And you might be wrong, but then,
Inevitably.
from covered in previous episodes, right? When you make mistakes or make wrong decisions, you clearly learned that you were wrong. Then say it,
Oh yeah,
and you
100%.
maintain the trust in your
Yeah.
role as leading this change, right? So
Yeah, be transparent and I agree. Be transparent and ethical, and it'll work out for you basically. Yeah. We hope this was useful for everybody, and learn through many, as we said the last time in the last episode, learn through many scars, and it sounds much better when we talk about it now than when we did it the first few times. So thank you for listening,
exactly,
and
and
yeah, don't hesitate to subscribe. Tell us what else you want to hear about, or if you want to hear more details, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And thanks for listening.